Hello everyone, my name is Yulia and I'm from Codejig team. This video is the last part of a working with applications data tutorials. In the previous video, I have shown the basic database organizations for our application, and also I have shown the ways of how to manipulate it, while in this video I will show you how to work with external database in our Codejig apps. And again, we'll work with our example, which is a shop application. So in our shop, we have a different suppliers, shippers, orders, and customers. But there is one very important missing part. It is a collection of products for our shop. So imagine the situation when you need to import to your application the collection of products from some external database. I have already prepared some example. Here is our products table in some external database. And let's try to view what data is stored in this database and what is the structure. And as you can see, we have a different products with their prices, amount of available units, and supplement dates. And what we need to do, we need to import all this data to our application. What we want to do, we want to store all these products list in our application, and also we want to have a possibility to edit all these instances for them to be then updated in the database. For this, in our application, we need to create a new data type, but not a simple one, but embedded, for having a possibility to edit it, and it will be a product data type. And also for this data type, we need to add a field, which will be the same as the corresponding columns in our product table. And now it is very important to make a right match between a data type for a column in table and for a field in Codejig application. So for example, we start with a product name. Let's select the type, which will be a string, and the next column will be, as you can see, the unit price. So let's edit, and we have the same integer data type out here, but let's give it a right name, which is a unit price. And the same actions we perform to add all the fields we need in our application. As you may see, I have the same added integer field to store the amount of available units. Also, we have a boolean field to store if our product is discontinued or not. Also, we have a supplement date, which is a date and time field. And also in our table, we have a product identifier column. So let's create a field to store this ID, but we will call it external ID, and we'll give it an integer type as well. And now when we are ready to store a different product items in our application, let's create a special page to manage our products. So let's call it product management. And on this page, we will add a collection of products to be displayed for our management. And this collection will be a transient one because we don't need to again store all these values in our app database, because it is already stored in the external database. So it will be a collection of a product data type, and let's give it products. And now we are ready to drag it on our form, on our page. And also let's get a button to perform an action of connection to a database and transferring the products to this collection. So we will give a title for this button, which will be get products from database. And now we're ready to create an action, which will be the server action for our connection and getting the data. So let's call it the same, get products. And now we are redirected to the code block editor. Here we have a special queries block to work with streams of data, but there is no specific code block to connect with some external database. Therefore, we need to write our custom code with this code block. And to use the functionality of a following JDBC API, we need to add some imports to our application, which are for such components like connection, result set, and statement. And now we're ready to create these components and use them for our connection code. By adding this code, I have created an object for a connection, which is for communication with database, the statement for submitting some specific SQL statements, and also the result set, which is the object which stores the result of submitting some statement and performing some query. As our connection trials may end up with some exceptions or errors, and we need for our application to run properly, therefore we'll use a try catch block to handle all the possible exceptions and errors which may appear in our code. And in our try block, we need to write our connection code and also getting the data from a table. So the code will look like this. First of all, using a driver management, we are trying to get a connection to our PostgreSQL database with specifying the host, port, database name, user, and password to access. Then we create a statement for this connection, and using this statement, we execute the query. In our case, it is to select everything from a product table. And now in the result set, we have our data stored. And now, in case if our connection trial will be successful, we can continue working with our result set. But in case we'll get some error, we need to catch it. In our case, we need to catch an exception of a custom type, which is actually called SQL exception. So we need to specify the name and type of it. And also, in case we get some troubles in our code, it will be good to see the message telling about it. So we get an error block to display the message from our exception, and we will get it with using the following get message function. One more important thing to add is that in the both cases, successful or not successful, we need to remember about the safety of our code, and we need not to forget to close the connection and the statement we have opened before. Therefore, we add a final block which will be executed in all the situations, and right over here with a native code in this block, we will also try to close the connection statement and the result set we have opened before. And now we are finally ready to work with a data retrieved from a database and stored in our result set, which is actually a cursor for some specific item in a result set. And what we need to do, we need to iterate through the whole items in this result set and add them to our product collection on our page. And to get through the result set, we will use a while loop and also a built-in function for a result set, which is result set next function, which will move our cursor to the next item until we get to the end of our set. And while we have the next product, we create a variable of a product data type. Let's give it a name, product item. And now we need to set a field for this instance to be equal to the values for the row in the result set, and then we will be ready to add it to collection on our page. And now we are into the most important part of getting the data from a database. First of all, we need to set the fields of our product to be equal with a data from a database, and in our case we will use a code block with using a function to get the value, which is a get string, because the product name is a string, and also we need to specify the name of the column we need to get a value from, which is a product name. But if we'll try to add this product to collection, so this product value to our product collection on the page. So let's try to save and build it. We will actually get a message telling us that we have some compilation error, and the reason is that the data type for our product name is a multi-language string in our application, while in database it is a simple string. Therefore, we need to make some more advanced manipulations. We need to create a system string variable. So let's give it name, and then we can set this variable to be equal to the result of this code, and then it will be converted to the string data type, and only then we can get the value of this variable and set it as a field for our product. And the same manipulation we can do for the other fields, but for example the discontinued field is the boolean, and for this field we don't need to convert it to some more advanced data type. Therefore we can simply write get boolean and specify the name of a discontinued column in our table. And now we continue with the other fields for a product item. For example, the supplement date. Actually, in our table, it is stored as a timestamp. So in our application, we will need to use a special function to convert it to the local date time data type. So let's write the following code. So we get the timestamp, and the name of column is supplement date. Let me fix it. And the next field could be, for example, the unit price, which is in our database stored as an integer. So we again use a native code, and a function for this field will be getInt, and the name of a column should be changed to the unit price. But if we'll try to save and build this application, what we'll get will be the message telling us about the compilation error. And as you can see, the int cannot be converted to Java long, so we need to get a long value to set it to our field. So let's try to fix it. For example, setting get long. And now after saving and building, let's have a look if it works. And yes, as you can see, our application is building. So you should be very careful with matching the fields and data types with SQL in a table and those which you have in your application. And let's finish with all the other fields left, which are the available units amount, of course, which is the same stored in our application as integer, but we need to get long because of an compilation errors, and the name is available units for our column, and the last one field will be the external ID, and we set it for our product again with getLong function, but only changing the name of a column, which is the product ID, as we remember from our table. So now we can save and build our application to test if now all the types have matched properly, and as you can see they are. And after deployment we'll go to our management page to check if really all the products from a database will be now stored in our collection. And now after the successful publishing of our application, we can go to our application page for a product management, and clicking on our button with an action of getting products. As you can see, they all are now displayed in our collection. As you may remember, the product was developed as an embedded data type in our application. Therefore, we have an ability to edit some instances in our collection. But in order to update all these instances the same way in our database, we need to create a new action and, for example, the button on our page to perform this action. So going to our form, we again drag the button on it. Let's give it a title to be the update products in database, and we again create a server action to perform the connecting and updating operation on a click on it. So now we are again redirected to the code block editor. As in this action, we will again need to connect to the database. We can copy the code blocks we have created in the previous button action. So we will again use a try catch block, but we can delete this work with a result set, because in this action we won't have some result, we will only execute the update. So for each product in our application, we will create a separate query for update with a values got from our application. For this, in our action, we create a system string variable, which will stand to be a query, and then this query will be set to be a combined text, where we will form it with, first of all, update clause for our public products table. Then we need to add setting clause. So we set each column, the first one will be the product name, to be equal to the value from our product from the page. So we get its value, and also set it to be the part of this query. Let's get it out here, and the same actions we can do for all the other columns. So we set product name to be equal to those from a page. Also the discontinued field should be updated with our product's value, and also we can update the amount of available units for our product in database. So we again add a part in our query to update available units column value, but without this part, and the same steps we make for the other fields. As you can see, I have also added a part to update all the other columns of product data type in our table, and also a part to specify which product we need to update by the instance for our product from the collections that we are iterating through right now. But if we'll try to save and build this application, we will run to a mistake in our create text block, and the reason is that our product name was actually stored in application as a string, while the query is of a system string data type. And to make it working, we need to create a variable of a system string data type to store the name of the product, and then to set it. And now only those converted system string could be the part of our query. And if we will save this application and try to build it, it should be working. And the final part should be actually executing this update query. So right over here we will use our statement. We don't need a connection right here. We only need to execute update with our query. So let's again try to save and build our application to check if everything is working properly. And after the build, we will try to deploy and update some instances in our application and check if in this table in database they will be also updated. And now after the publishing, we can go to our management page. First of all, we get the products from a database, and now we can update some instance. For example, let's edit a name, a price, and the amount of available units for this rice. And clicking on update button, if we will go to our table, we now see all the old values. But if we'll try to refresh and then view the updated data, as you can see, the name price and amount of available units for our product is updated. And that was all for now. Thanks for your watching, and I hope that now your experience with working with external databases will be better for now. Bye.